so we can't stop them going to that clover patch. But what we do is we actually fly our hives into very remote areas that are vast in manuka, so the bees don't really have anything else to go to.
Welcome back to another episode of a Kiwi Original. Today on the show, I'm joined by Sharlene Caskey from Melora Limited, which is associated to the New Zealand Manuka group. They're based up in Whakatane, and their specialism is everything to do with honey. Not just any normal honey, this is the good stuff, the right at the high end. It's that Manuka stuff that's prized domestically and internationally because of its healing properties. So first of all, welcome to the show, Sharlene.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
What got you into Manuka honey, and how long have you been involved with this, really what is a growth story in New Zealand around Manuka honey?
Well, due to family ties, I've actually been involved with Manuka honey since the 1990s, where my father, Phil Caskey, actually started up one of the first Manuka businesses in New Zealand. He was actually exporting deer velvet at the time to a Korean company, and they asked if he could add the velvet into Manuka honey or just honey. And the cheapest honey that Dad could find at the time was Manuka. So he put the velvet in the Manuka, and they said, "Oh, thanks for the honey. Next time leave the velvet out." So therefore he started up a Manuka company and was one of the first to export Manuka from New Zealand. Alongside that, he actually developed a wound care device with Manuka, and that is now sold internationally through hospitals for wound care patients for burned units and MRSA. So he actually left that business in the early 2000s and sold to quite a reputable current honey company in New Zealand. He's since started up a new business in 2011. He was getting calls from the landowners down on the East Cape asking if he could come back. They're looking for a fair share on their return of the honey and the land that, the honey businesses are using. So, Dad started up in 2011 back on the East Cape and New Zealand Manuka. I actually was asked to start up with him and said I'd worked with him before in a previous business, so I wasn't too keen. But 3 years later, I joined. I moved my family to Whakatane, and I'm still here as the sales and marketing manager.
Okay, so we'll come on to the product side of it shortly with the Melora brand of products. But take me back to that moment where you're 2 or 3 years beyond where your dad's got hauled back into it, almost like magnetically. He's been taken back to the land because he's been asked, and he's a trusted voice. You're not convinced just yet. What changed in that 2 to 3 years where you thought, all right, I'm up in sticks, I'm taking the family to Whakatane? What was the moment you thought, this is worth doing?
Oh, definitely the moment the business grew very fast. My father's an entrepreneur and has started many businesses throughout his life. And just seeing the growth going international, starting the business with an order without a factory and getting that order out on time was just amazing. And I decided I wanted to be a part of that with my leadership training. I was ready to jump in and move, and what a wonderful place to move to. Like, I don't think I'd look back.
What's unique about Whakatane, living there and working there?
It's just so vast, Ryan. There's so much to do. I love the bush. We often go for lots of hikes around here. You've got the sea as well, and you're just a short drive from Tauranga, Rotorua, and the rest of my family are not too far away. They love to come and see me here too.
What makes it so unique for the Manuka plant as such, or could you have been anywhere and it just happened to be Whakatane?
So the Manuka plant actually has UMF qualities, and we sell under the UMF license. And that's the high Manuka factor. It's actually found in the East Cape and a couple of other places in New Zealand, but widely on the East Cape. these high manuka factor sides of the manuka are coming out. Also, here on the East Cape, we have manuka oil, and that's something my father wanted to look into. So he knew a lot about the manuka honey side of things, but the manuka oil here is also very, very special. And in 2014, he purchased a manuka oil business here, and that has very high triketones, which are the antibacterial properties, and that is only found on the East Cape of New Zealand.
Now it makes sense. So it's easier to make and grow manuka honey with beehives, but much harder for the essential oils. Have I got that right?
So on the East Cape, the essential oil and the high triketones, the high antibacterial oil, is only found here on the East Cape of New Zealand. Yeah, so you can have high UNF honey in other places of New Zealand, but they're not finding the high triketones in their manuka oil in those places.
So it sounds like a lot of testing you've got to do, and I can't imagine, like, what is it like where you've got these wild elements? So you've got the manuka plant itself that you either have to plant or grow or find. Then you've got the bees part. You can't exactly tell the bees what to do. They'll fly where they want to fly and collect from where they want to collect. And then you've got the science angle on it, which has to bring it to a certain level. So when people buy it, they feel that what they're buying is reflected in what's actually in the product. How is all that managed for a brand like Melora?
Well, we do have a great team of technicians, and we've also got PhDs on our team. We have a lot of science, a lot of background with Phil's background as well, but we also have a lot of scientists on board, and they are continually testing the areas as to where you can get the high properties of the manuka. And then we're also independently testing once we've made our honey or our oil. It's independently tested in laboratories around the world. Like you say, the bees, they do fly 3 to 5K, so we can't stop them going to that clover patch, but what we do is we actually fly our hives in to very remote areas that are vast in manuka, so the bees don't really have anything else to go to.
Right, so you're almost like the the Uber for the bees. You're taking them straight to the restaurant, so that as a bee, you're just going to shop local and get your local manuka feed.
Yep, they're very healthy bees.
Let's move on to the product side of it now. So we've talked about the essential oils. You've also got some other product lines that you specialize in. Over the period of time that you've been involved in the business, how have you come up with the products? How have you innovated in ways that maybe you saw that the marketplace wasn't being served as well as it could be? And then how do you make sure that it is fit for purpose in the different markets? Because New Zealand's a very different market from Asia and specifically China.
Yes, well, we do a lot of work, and we have an NPD team, and that's actually headed by Phil's wife, Sharon, my stepmother. And we carefully look into the market, like you say, and have a look at the current products. And the difference with our brand, Melora, is that we have manuka honey range of skincare products, and we know manuka is very good with skincare and moisture and helping with wound care and all sorts of things, and that's been widely researched. But the manuka oil hasn't been out there for very long, and it's an essential oil, very, very good for the skin. And we've actually done in-house in vitro testing in regards to the efficacy of the manuka oil and how it can help things such as athlete's foot, tinea. It can help with acne, also strep on the skin and staph on the skin. So we've found at a very low dilution rate, manuka oil is very effective. So what we've done is we've produced a product called our Double Action, and that has the honey for the moisture and the wound healing, and also the oil, which helps with the antibacterial effect. And we've basically looked around, and we were the only ones doing it at the time with both honey and oil. And it's becoming very, very widely popular, like you say, in the likes of China, US, UK, and New Zealand, Australia.
When you've got a product like that, it's on the one hand, it's excellent because you've got a new product that's unique. There's no natural competitors, or there is unlikely to be for a period of time. But on the flip side, you've also got a marketplace that's uneducated. Maybe they understand manuka honey, but not the essential oil. What steps do you do to go about once you've got your MPD team, you've launched the product? How do you then educate the market, or at least get the audience to know how to use the oil, what it can be used for?
Yeah. Well, with our business, we actually sell the manuka oil in bulk as well. So I'm actually the salesperson for manuka oil export. We're educating flavour, fragrance companies and a whole lot of wholesalers all around the world on manuka oil and how to use it and what to do with it. There's also some very large aromatherapy product companies that have actually taken on manuka oil. So through word of mouth, and also through the work we've done through manukaoil.com, and also a lot of advertising, a lot of promotional material on our websites, brochures, people are learning very fast what manuka oil is doing.
And what's the feedback been specifically in New Zealand for manuka oil?
So we just launched Melora basically just before lockdown. Great time to do it. So basically it was the Friday before we went into lockdown, and honestly the feedback has been wonderful. We've had a lot of people come to us and have a try. Feedback influences a lot of people looking at the manuka oil products, and they're just loving it.
Do they have to get it prescribed via pharmacy, or is this something they find in the supermarket or a specialist store, or all three?
So our manuka oil products are general skincare products, so they're out in the health shops, pharmacies, along with our melora.co.nz website. And we're currently looking at national distribution sites as well, so hoping to get into supermarkets very soon. We are looking at medicated and medical device products as well in regards to wound care and first aid, so watch this space.
That's a great kind of balance, because the supermarkets will give you the volume, and whenever I hear a business talk about that being part of their aims, I know that the business is either well-funded, has a large team already, because it's not easy to feed the supermarkets at the scale. But if you can do that, it certainly is a leg up for a brand if you can get ranged.
Yeah, we have a national sales manager working on that at the moment.
Well, good luck with that part. Now, I haven't, let's just go back to the part I haven't talked about with the Fairshare program, because the land is actually another element of it. And you talked about there that it requires helicopters to fly these bees in. What is the Fairshare program, and why does your family and the Melora New Zealand Manuka group see that as important?
We definitely see that as important because most of the land on the East Cape is actually Māori owned, and the iwi look after it, and it's very special to them. Manuka on their land is known as a tonga, so it's a gift from the land, and they see it as very, very precious. So instead of just taking our hives in and then taking the honey off and saying thank you, we're actually paying those landowners when we take the hives in and we get the honey back. We pay them based on the honey that we get off their land, and they're getting paid a very good fair share. And there's people that weren't able to pay their rates or put new roofs on their houses are now able to actually live and provide for their families. The other side of it is we are the largest employer down on the East Cape as well. So we're employing local beekeepers, local people to run plantations on their own land, and we have leaders within our team that are actually training them, and one day they'll have that back to themselves. to sell the oil or the honey to us. So it's really exciting. We've had landowners, cousins and sons come back from Auckland and Australia to work back on their land, and it's really great to see.
That's brilliant to hear too, because if you're rewarding or remunerating each part in the supply chain, it's more likely then to recontribute locally. So those bees that you're paying for a square meterage rental while they're out on their holiday next to their manuka tree, there's some benefit returning to the landowners. A question then on you said that you're the largest employer in that area. There's a really recent announcement from the government talking about apprenticeships, and I heard one commentator talking about that apprenticeships in beehive beekeeping isn't going to save New Zealand. Is that the case, or is it because this is a very high price luxury product in many markets? Surely then beekeeping actually could contribute to our export receipts.
Oh, definitely. And we know that manuka is a big contributor to that. And we do the apprenticeship programs, and we are training people right from scratch. We have, even on our website, we show one of the girls that we have brought up through the ranks, and she's just loving being on her grandfather's farm and again on the East Cape, and she's one of our beekeepers, young, mid-20s.
Sorry to interrupt. This won't take long. Subscribe to the show and you'll never miss another one of these amazing episodes. Right, back to the show. What does a beekeeper do outside the obvious? What's it like to be a beekeeper? If there's someone listening thinking, I'm going to train up as a beekeeper, what can they expect?
Well, they have to like being in the outdoors, and they definitely hard work. There are long hours and a lot of lifting involved as well. They have a lot of education around the bees and the hives, and they learn, everything about a bee. So I think if somebody really likes wildlife and they like being out in the outdoors and protecting our bees and, offering a healthy product to the market, then give it a go.
That's excellent advice. And I think for those listening, there's potentially some opportunities up there. There is a bit of a difference with collecting honey though, isn't it? Because there's seasons around it. It's not an all year thing. Or do you swap roles within the business so it is a full-time role?
So with beekeeping, we do have to keep the bees alive and we do have to winter them off. So there is some work done in the winter, but there's only a 10 to 12 week flowering period of the manuka, and that's when we have some serious work to do, when we are going in, we're putting the hives in pre-season and we're looking after the hives during the season and then bringing them out. There's a lot of work done in around the months between November through to February, March. But there are some roles where, the work does change, but we also have the manuka oil plantations within our business, and there are people that can work in those areas as well. Okay.
Just to shift gears a little bit, now that we've talked about the business, the land, the origin story of Melora and how your family is involved, let's talk about the branding side of it. How did the name Melora come about, and how important is branding to the sales and marketing effort that you put behind the business?
Yeah, so we do have a few brands within our business, and Melora currently is most prominent in New Zealand. The word Melora came from Mel being the Latin word for honey, and Ora being the Māori word for health. So that's how that came up. And with the Melora brand, we definitely work through and show our land, our people's stories and what we're doing in New Zealand, and the background around Melora, the provenance and where it's from.
And then behind that, there's the independent marks of trust. There's the New Zealand made, of course. There's also then the traceability of honey and the potency of it. How important is that to your customers domestically and internationally? Is it a big thing, or do they put more of the trust behind the Melora brand?
We definitely work on some of our quality marks. UMF is one of the marks within New Zealand. So we belong to the UMF Association, and that shows that our honey is all tested to make sure it is of manuka quality and it's not just a clover or something like that. And we also have the grading system within that, so you can get 5+ UMF, which is a low grade, still a manuka, but it's a low grade, and then you can go up to 20+. We also have, within our manuka oil, we have a grading system which we set up ourselves, which is the MBTK grading system, so the manuka beta triketones. So that shows the antibacterial triketones within the oil, and if that's high, it's a very good oil, which is what we're getting from the East Cape. We also have our Manuka Origins brand, where we can trace our honey right back to the hive, and we can also trace our oil right back to the tree or the plantation where it's from.
That's impressive.
Mm.
Do people ask for that? Do they want to know, where did this hive sit, on what farm, what piece of land, or is it more like an internal traceability if you need to find out? Is it an internal tool or like an external tool?
It's definitely more internal, but we do have the information available if somebody did want it.
Nice. And where to next for the business? So you just launched before COVID-19, and then everything kind of shifted for a while. As we record this now, we're at the start of June, and fingers crossed back at level 1 sometime next week. Do you then have to relaunch, or what's been your take on it now that there's a bit of distance between the first launch, COVID, and where we are now?
Within New Zealand, it's definitely getting more retailers on board, and we are working in other markets as well, so we are concentrating on launches within those markets. NPD has been on hold through COVID, so that's definitely something that's going to start back up again. So there will be new products added to our range. That's going to be really, really exciting.
Very good. Well, I look forward to seeing what those are, and I guess we'll be one of the first to see them as those products get added on the BuyNZ website as new licensed products. On the New Zealand made side of it, is that something that what does that add to the business from a sales and marketing perspective? Definitely is something that we've belonged to right from the beginning, and it just put trust, especially New Zealanders, into our products. We have also New Zealand made on some of the other brands selling overseas, and it's something that people are looking for. The little triangle has been a part of our brand for a long time. Definitely through COVID-19, it's huge now. It's something that all Kiwis are looking for, just to shop local and shop Kiwi. Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. There's certainly been that shift. Sharlene, is there any questions that I haven't asked you, or areas where maybe there's something that you do want to share with either the business audience in New Zealand or the consumers about what you do and what Melora offers? I just think try it out. We do support many different charities and organisations within New Zealand. At the moment, we're actually supporting Kia Kaha Box. It's a lady runs a charity in New Zealand where it's supporting women in women's refuge, and it's very dear to our hearts because we do have a high number of domestic violence cases within the East Cape and New Zealand. So every time a Melora product is bought during July and August, we're actually giving one to Kia Kaha Box. That's brilliant. What it shows is that at the heart of what your business is about is not just the quality product or delivering it to consumers, it's looking after your local community, whether that's the landowners, the people who hosting the trees for the bees, or whether it's the local community looking at how do you improve the community. And I think that's something a lot of businesses might just leave on the table as a benefit, because when you're doing that, it has all of these unintended positive consequences that go beyond the direct help. So for Women's Refuge, for example, that will have a ripple effect out to the rest of the community and how confident someone feels to live there. And then for that vibrant community then helps your business continue to grow, because you have access to better talent, which I would imagine is one of the challenges of not being in a big city.
Definitely one of the challenges. Yes.
Will you be looking to hire under the apprenticeship scheme, or is it too early to tell yet?
Well, that part is not really a part of my role, but I'm sure our operations managers and executive are actually looking into what we can do there. We've definitely been a part of many schemes in the past with getting, young people, youth into work and all sorts of things. So, yeah, I'm sure that they'll be looking into what we can do.
Well, I think Whakatane is very fortunate to have a business like yours with these family values at the heart of it. And I think for Kiwis that haven't tried the product, particularly that essential oil, I think that's something that is a little bit different, and you might be onto something. And I think maybe in a decade or so, if that has been as successful, then maybe that acronym will be as popular with the ketones or whatever that 4-letter acronym was as popular as the UMF one in terms of the potency of honey.
Yeah, in regards to manuka oil, we've planted nearly 9 million manuka trees. So we're actually the top of the trees that count leaderboard at the moment.
How long does it take for those to become, like, when can you start harvesting from a tree after you've planted it?
12 to 18 months.
That's pretty good.
And we harvest them enough so that they grow straight back up. And so they're just loving it. They're thriving in their natural environment on the East Cape. We're using seed from the East Cape. And we were the first to do so for manuka oil. And it had its trials and tribulations getting started, but now, nearly 9 million trees, about 2,000 off.
It's hard when you start, isn't it? But once you've actually put down the roots, literally and figuratively, you get to reap the rewards in later years. And I think, you joining the business in 2014 and your dad starting back on the land in 2011, you're almost 10 years in now. So that's a time where you've got scale, you've got credibility, you've got a marketplace, and then it's just a choice of which opportunities do you go after. Yeah,
definitely. And there's a lot out there. And the way that my father thinks, he's seeing opportunities for the next 20 years.
There must be some interesting conversations when you all get around the dinner table.
Like, slow down.
Who's the voice of reason within the group, and then who's the ideas, or is it a little bit of everything and you come up with an agreed decision?
Phil is definitely the ideas man. Some of us have to rein him back, including the finance team.
It's getting that balance right, isn't it? Well, I've really appreciated our chat today about your business, Melora, and thank you, Sharlene, for being on the show and being part of a Kiwi original and contributing in your way in Whakatane to New Zealand's future.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It was great to be here.
You're welcome. This has been a Kiwi original brought to you by the New Zealand Made team. Thanks for watching. The New Zealand Made trademark is used by over 1,200 businesses in New Zealand. The New Zealand Made team licenses that trademark. Check if you're eligible at bynz.org.nz. If you feel that someone should see this, share it with them now. Otherwise, subscribe to youtube.com/bynzmade, and we'll see you on the next episode.